You know that kind of weapon that no one gives a damn about when they see it, but that completely changes the course of a battle? That was the Plumbata. It wasn't a giant sword, nor a shiny shield. It was a javelin. Yes, a simple javelin, with a lead tip, light to carry, easy to hide, but deadly when thrown. Roman soldiers didn't use it by accident. It served as a first strike, before hand-to-hand combat even began. It was like an opening card that could clear the way and disorganize the enemy before he even understood what was happening. It didn't require a bow, any complicated contraption or elite training. All it took was a strong arm and reasonable aim. And that was it. The Plumbata did the dirty work. But anyone who thinks it was a simple weapon is mistaken. Behind that small, discreet shape, there was a war engineering designed to cause damage, with precision. Hold on. Before I continue, I need your help. YouTube will only share this video with more people if it has a lot of interaction. In other words, without your comment, this knowledge could be buried and never reach those who need it. If this content makes sense to you, comment 1. If you disagree, comment 0 and tell me why. I want to see at least 100 comments here so that YouTube understands that this subject needs to be spread. So comment now and be part of this mission to reveal the secrets of ancient Rome. The name may sound strange at first glance, but it gives away a secret. Plumbata comes from lead, which in Latin means lead, the material that made the head of the weapon so heavy and so dangerous. But the Romans didn't stop there. They also called this weapon March beard, which roughly translated means the barbs of Mars. Mars, for those who don't remember, was the Roman god of war. In other words, just by hearing that name, the enemy could already feel the psychological weight of the battle. And the barbs? They represented the sharp point, made to tear shields, pierce armor, and open space on the battlefield. It was more than a name. It was a warning. Whoever faced Rome would feel the taste of lead consecrated to the god of war. The Plumbata was no ordinary weapon. It was a symbol of Roman military intelligence. A way of saying, before you reach me, I have already wounded you. Think of an arrow. Now imagine it a little more robust, shorter, and with a lead head at the end. This was the basis of the Plumbata, a light wooden shaft, usually with feathers at the end, just like real arrows, that helped stabilize the flight when released. This prevented the arrow from spinning out of control, but instead flew in a straight line like a small silent missile. The main difference was in the weight concentrated in the front. The head was made of lead or, in some cases, iron. This made the dart heavy enough to gain momentum and speed in the air, but light enough to be thrown by hand. The impact was brutal. Imagine taking that to the shoulder, chest, or even head before getting close to the enemy. It was guaranteed pain and guaranteed chaos in the opposing formation. And the best part, it was cheap to produce. This means that Rome could arm hundreds of soldiers with these beauties without spending a fortune. A classic example of how the Romans combined strategy, economy, and destruction in a single object. The truth is that the Romans didn't invent the Plumbata. The Greeks were already using metal-tipped darts around 500 years before Christ. But you know that saying, "He who does it best wins"? That's exactly what Rome did. The Greeks came up with the idea, but the Romans perfected everything. They gave it the right weight, ideal balance, created ways to carry it on shields, and integrated this weapon into the structure of the legions. It was during the final phases of the Roman Empire, when the threat came from all sides and strategies needed to be rethought, that the Plumbata gained prominence. Rome, as always, did not wait for war to come knocking on the door. It anticipated it. It took what worked, improved it with its military genius, and transformed a simple weapon into a powerful weapon, essential tool of war. The enemies didn't even know where the darts were coming from. They just felt the impact and saw their ranks breaking. Imagine the scene. The enemy approaching, thinking he is going to face you in a hand-to-hand fight, and suddenly a shower of darts falls on him. That's when the Plumbata showed its genius. It was thrown before of direct combat, like a kind of flying trap. It didn't require a professional archer, nor special training. Any Roman soldier could Use it. This made the Plumbata perfect for saving resources while maintaining ranged attack power. And the most interesting thing, the soldiers carried 5 of these weapons hidden in the shields themselves. That's right, the shields were large, straight, and functioned like a war compartment. Thus, when the commander gave the signal, each man could quickly draw his javelins and throw them without breaking formation, without wasting time, without exposing himself. It was attack and defense in a single movement. The enemy came confidently, and in seconds he was already injured, disorganized, or even dead. Rome didn't just want to win. She wanted win with efficiency and precision. If this content is making sense to you so far, do the following. Give me a signal. Comment 1 below so I know you're with me on this journey. And remember, YouTube only spreads this knowledge if it has a lot of interaction. If you haven't commented yet, now is the time. I want to see this video full of opinions so that this topic continues to reach more people. Even after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, Plumbata remained alive and active. Those who continued its use were the Byzantines, direct heirs of Roman military traditions. And they took it so seriously that even the emperor wrote about the weapon. In the 6th century, Maurice, emperor of the Byzantine Empire, left a war manual, recorded called Strategy, how the Plumbata was still valued on the battlefield. That is, even after centuries it continued to fulfill its role, hitting the enemy before he could react with strength and precision. And do you know what this proves? That the Plumbata was not just an occasional weapon. It was so efficient, so practical, so lethal, that it survived changes in empire, army, and time. Few weapons can do that. It became part of the military identity of those who inherited Rome's legacy. Now imagine yourself, an enemy soldier, marching towards a Roman legion. Up ahead, everything seems organized, silent, until out of nowhere darts start flying in your direction. They fall on the shoulders, on the head, on the backs of your companions. It's chaos. You raise your shield to protect yourself from above, but then exposes the entire body underneath. And guess what? The Roman spears are waiting for it. That was the genius behind the Plumbata. It forced the enemy to make a dangerous choice. Protect your head and open your chest, or take cover underneath and risk getting a dart in the face. And all this happened without the Roman soldiers having to leave their defensive position. They remained protected behind their shields, firm in formation, throwing darts while the enemy became disorganized. It was a psychological, strategic, and physical attack, all at the same time. A Plumbata broke the opponent's confidence before the fight even begins. And in war, shaking the mind is as important as hurting the body. The Romans were masters at something that few armies could do so perfectly: attack without giving up defense. And the Plumbata was a key piece in that equation. As the soldiers launched these lethal darts, they did not break the formation and did not even expose themselves to risk. They remained protected behind their shields with their ranks aligned and the advance under control. This created a kind of offensive barrier. The enemy had to face a wall of shields while being bombarded by darts flying from above. And things didn't stop there. The Plumbata complemented other long-range weapons like bows and crossbows. Archers were accurate at longer ranges. Crossbows were slower, but could pierce even armor. The Plumbata was fast, direct, easy to use, and did not require technical skill. It was like a wild card in the hand of the common soldier, ready to attack at any moment. This integration between weapons and tactics transformed the legions into a true organized war machine, who knew how to protect himself, hurt, and advance, all in perfect harmony. The Plumbata was unbeatable, to a certain extent. It was made to attack before the enemy got too close. But when the ranks met and combat turned face to face, it lost its luster. It was too heavy to be agile, difficult to throw accurately at close range, and ultimately rendered useless when space was tight. At these times, the Roman soldier was ready to make the exchange. He just had to put away his shield, take out his sword or the spear, and continue the battle with weapons designed to kill at close range. The transition was natural, trained, efficient. The Plumbata was the calling card, but the sword was the one that closed the deal. This shows once again how the Romans thought about each phase of combat. Nothing was by chance. Every weapon had a purpose. None was used at the wrong time. Everything was calculated so that the enemy would always be at a disadvantage, before, during, and after the first contact. Today, archaeologists still find parts of these weapons in ancient Roman cities. In places like Britain, Asia Minor, and North Africa, Plumbata heads have been unearthed nearly intact. Some were buried in fortresses, others on ancient battlefields. They all tell the same story, the precision with which Rome planned its wars. And do you know what's most impressive? By comparing these findings with ancient texts, such as the writings of Vegetius and Emperor Maurice, scholars were able to reconstruct the Plumbata with almost perfect details. This proves that what seemed like just a simple weapon was, in fact, the result of a refined military strategy, one that mixed engineering, psychology, and power. The Plumbata is the symbol of an empire that did not rely solely on brute force, but in intelligence and total control of the battlefield. And that is why Rome still fascinates the world to this day. If this content made you see the genius of the Romans from a new perspective, leave a like below, because it really helps the channel to continue bringing videos like this. And enjoy. Click on the next video that is appearing on the screen, because the history of Rome has many more secrets that few people know about, and you will want to know all of them. See you there.